thank you guys so much for buying a Maker Rail. We're going to start with the materials that you're going to get inside of your package. You're going to get 2 of these posts, 2 of these shoes right here. You're going to get a selection of 8 masonry anchors that we have right here. These work for CMU, block, brick, or concrete as well. And there's also going to be a set of wooden lag bolts in here with some nice aggressive thread that you can use to attach this down to a deck. The wood install is really straightforward, and I think you are all familiar with it, but the concrete install is a little bit different, so I wanted to take a little bit of time and explain to you exactly how to install this rail system. When you ordered your rail, the first thing you should have done was measure this nose-to-nose distance right here, which is 52 inches for this stair. You can go on the website and see if that matches up to one of our pre-made rails for the most affordable option, but if not, for a few dollars more, we can adjust one of our existing designs to your exact rail measurements. Basically what we do is we take that nose-to-nose measurement and it translates directly to this eye-to-eye measurement right here on your handrail, which is, this is where the posts attach. So if you notice, we measure across and we now have 52 inches. So you don't have to be exactly the same as your nose-to-nose, but within 2 inches is generally fine. So once you have basically confirmed that these measurements match your nose-to-nose, you can get ready to do the install. So let me show you guys the tools and safety equipment that you're going to need to do this successfully, and then we'll get rolling and put one in. First thing I want you to grab is a pair of safety glasses and some gloves. Drilling with a rotohammer produces a lot of chips that fly in the air, and you definitely want to keep yourself safe while doing that. So once you have your safety stuff out of the way, really the biggest tool you're going to need is a rotohammer. Right here is kind of a large commercial version, and basically what it does is it rotates and drills while hammering at the same time. You can go to your local hardware store and get this style, or they come in these smaller battery operated styles. What you're looking for is this hammer emblem. They make these from all manufacturers, but you need a rotohammer. You can also rent them at your local hardware store if you don't feel like buying one for just this job, but you're definitely going to need one of these, as well as a 3/8 masonry bit. So this is a different drill bit than you use for wood, and the biggest difference is it has this spade tip on the end that's great for chipping up block and masonry. Set your anchors. You're going to need a hammer, a level, and this wrench right here that we included with the kit. If you have your own wrenches, you can go ahead and use it, be a little bit more comfortable, but this will work and get you going. Let's do a little bit of layout and planning, and then we'll drill some holes and set our posts. All right, first thing I like to do is actually set the rail down right here on the nose of your step and get this center lobe here that's going to mount to your post positioned right where I think it needs to be. Remember, you want at least 2 inches of cover from the edge of your brick, block, or cement to the start of your first hole. So see how we have this a good 3-4 inches away from the edge? That's going to prevent this block from blowing out when we rotohammer and drill and fasten this anchor in here. So get your lobe lined up and then set your post right next to it, because that's going to be the center of your first post location. Then follow me down here to the bottom of the stair, and we're going to check and make sure that this second post is going to have 2 inches of cover from the edge. Once you make sure you've got your posts lined up about where they're going to be, you can check and make sure that it's plumb with the rest of the building. So pick up an architectural feature like this column right here, or you can even look at this nice curved stair wherever the apex of the stair is and locate this rail exactly where you want it, because once you put this down, it's really not going to be moving anywhere. I'm going to go ahead and set the top first, and that's going to help us set this bottom exactly where it needs to go. Grab your rotohammer, double check and make sure it's a 3/8 bit, and I'm going to set my first hole right here. Very careful and meticulous when drilling these, because you really can't redo them once they're done. So get your first anchor set. First one, you just really want to get snug. You don't need to tighten it all the way down yet. And we can get this squared up with pretty much this column back here is what I'm going for. So once you get it where you like it, you can go ahead and drill your second hole. don't want to go crazy and drill all your holes yet, because this could actually walk and move a little bit from you. So you want to get 2 anchors in it before you drill the rest of the holes. Alright, it's really common in this type of application to get an anchor that spins. So this one right here doesn't have a very good bite on it. There's a couple things you can do to try and get this to bite. Because this is a sleeve anchor, you're trying to get this sleeve to slide down that direction and get in a bind right here with this graduated plug at the end. So in order to do that, sometimes you can just pop this back a little, and that'll help jam this sleeve up inside of that hole. But if you can only get 2 anchors, you're usually going to be fine. We put a little extra in here just to be safe. See, now that we got that in a bind just by rocking this base plate back, now we can tighten up on this, and we're going to end up getting all 4. But don't really worry too bad if one of these is a spinner, because if you get 2 diagonal from each other, it's going to be pretty solid. All right, number 1, most common mistake people forget, including myself, is putting this little shoe on before we mount the handrail. So once you get your base plate tightened up, make sure you slide this nice little trim cap over, and then we can mount this top piece to our first post. We put these little carriage bolts in here, so you only need 1 wrench to tighten it up. Carriage bolt goes in the post, which has a square hole cut in it, and then the round side of the bolt goes through the handrail section. And make sure you put this on before you try and drill that bottom post. I'll show you why in just a second. From here you can really just get this finger tight, because we need this to pivot a little bit. So let's head down the stair and I'll show you how to set your second post. This second shoe starts to become a little bit of an inconvenience, but you can put it on after all this. I like to just put it on and kind of deal with it. So if you can kind of rack it, you can get it in a bind, and sometimes it keeps you from sliding down and crushing your hand, so be careful. But the reason we do it this way and set the top post first is so we can put this bottom leg together, and if we need to make any sort of adjustments, this one isn't nailed down yet. So we can make sure this is plumb and that it's in line with the rest of the stair how we want it before setting it. Same thing down here, just finger tight. We're going to tighten everything up at the very end of this install. From here, grab your torpedo, and you can check this for level. Before I set it, I always like to step back and see how it looks with the rest of the property, and I think it's a little bit rotated. So I'm going to go ahead and cheat it over this way. Once you're happy with the location, go ahead and set your first anchor. Just set one at a time. It'll help you out in the long run. Oh, that's why we wear gloves, guys. Once you get all this set, all you have to do is tighten everything up and you're installed.